everybody, and welcome back to the Maria Gonçalves podcast. Today, we have a special guest. We have Lorraine Coffey, who is a spirit artist all the way from Ireland. And today, we're going to showcase and go through her angel cards. I'm super excited that you are here. So, welcome, Lorrie.
Oh, you're very welcome, and thank you so much for having me along, Maria. It's a real pleasure.
It is. And thank you so much for gifting me these cards. I'm so excited they finally arrived in Canada. So, for those that are looking, this is the name of the deck, and you can find it on her website. So, Inspirational Angel Cards. And we are going to go through the cards. So, first of all, my first question, Lori, can I call you Lori or do you prefer
Of
Lorraine?
course, yeah, that's what I love being called, Laurie.
I just have to double check. What inspired you to create this deck?
Okay, well, there's a bit of a story attached to it because the deck originally comes from all the original paintings that I created over a 10-year period
Oh,
that went, it became a permanent exhibition that was known as the Angel Sanctuary. So, the paintings were all held in the gallery alongside with the writings.
mm,
It was a place of stillness that people used to come and just enter. And to help us support the gallery remaining open and free to the public, I kind of thought, well, okay. Um, Also, for people to take a piece of the gallery home with them, we decided to create an inspirational deck from all the original pastel paintings and writings. So that's how it really came into being.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
So within this deck, how many cards are there?
There's 36 paintings. They would have been 36 original pastel paintings. Yes.
Oh, wow. So as we go through the cards, can you tell us the story behind each card? So this is the Angel of Freedom.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to create this card?
Well, a lot of the paintings, these were kind of created, as I say, over a 10-year period for me.
Yeah,
And say, for example, this particular one, when I would be feel inspired to paint or feel spirit was actually wanting me to paint, first and foremost, it would always be for me because spirit always told me, when I was introduced to painting for the first time, they wanted me to paint the world that would be brought to me. And first it was for me, to in some way help me, and secondly, then to share with others. So the paintings that came over this particular time would have all been based on what I was going through myself in life. And especially, I suppose, a number of them are connected with a very difficult and traumatic time in my life. So sometimes when I would sit and just paint, I wouldn't know what was going to come, but because I would just work with the movement of the pastel, and all of a sudden there'd be an angel there. So this one came at a very difficult time in life. I suppose that's why it's called Angel of Freedom. But it was really to help me through or know that I was coming to the end of the traumas that I was experiencing, you
yeah,
know. And I would also receive words as well. So I would capture the words. And again, I always felt they weren't necessarily my words, but they were inspired words from spirit. So I would capture them along with the feelings.
yeah,
And I would always feel they were more like teachings as such, to help us get through certain periods. This particular one, the words are lovely. Now I'm hoping that I find it, but Angel of Freedom, it's probably one that I can't probably find until the very end. No, and you know what? It's not popping up. But it goes like stand up, O weary soldier, stand up. For thou hast reached the edge of the great and muddy waters. Collect thy scattered mind and broken body, for one spirit is now rising. Now, this was at a really traumatic time in my life where again, I was like, I had nothing left in me, but it
Yeah.
was telling me that, if you want to refer to them as spiritual messages,
Yeah.
um, not based, I suppose, on the actual things that are happening, but how you're feeling at the time. It was like, oh my God, I have nothing else to give here.
Yeah.
So these would come at a particular time where I would be struggling, mainly a lot of the time when I would be struggling, and it was just spirit talking to me. So I realized then, well, when people would sit in the gallery or that, and they'd feel something, if it wasn't the actual painting, it may be the words or both, um, they could really help people. People would benefit from them. So I suppose they're really like, I would say the most kind of like a little safekeeping that if you're going through something challenging and this particular one happens to pop out, the words are quite, how would I say, even old English, but they really make us kind of travel inward and try and access what they're saying to us.
I love that. And I brought up the second card, but what I do want to add, and I don't know if you're having this experience, but I'm just gonna share my experience. As you were talking about, let me bring this back, the angel of freedom. I swear I can feel an angel just touch my face just now, and I'm like, oh no. It's like, I don't know, but they're here. They're here. So as we're going through the cards, because I am so curious, do you see angels? Like now, do you still see angels?
I have had, you know what's interesting? I have seen them.
Yeah.
I have they have physically appeared, manifested as apparitions.
Yes.
And yet sometimes I hear and people have shared with me saying the spiritualist movement that they don't believe in angels. And I'm kind of going, you know, how, why not?
You
But
should.
yeah, I remember one day, um, a gentleman came to visit the gallery
Yeah.
and he came rushing in. There was nobody else there, and he came rushing in. And as he came towards me, I've been standing in, probably cleaning like I would. I would always be in there cleaning and tidying and waiting for people to come. And he rushed in, a beautiful Englishman, but he'd been living in Cork, and he put his arms out like this, and he said, "Can you tell me who my angel is?" And it doesn't kind of work like that for me, but at that very moment, right behind him and above him appeared this most incredible vision. And it was as real and solid as he was. And
Yeah.
it was as though his call
Yeah.
had manifested the angel. And it was the angel I am. And it's probably just one of my it's a stunning piece that Spirit created. Now I wouldn't necessarily I never thought I could recreate it. I wasn't even thinking of recreating it. But the I am one is exactly as it appeared above and behind the gentleman. Yeah, so that's just a little.
So is that in this deck? Are we going to see it? The I am.
Yes, it's in,
Okay.
yeah.
So we'll go through the
Okay.
deck patiently. What I am becoming aware for myself as you are talking about angels and the experience of that gentleman, I am more aware of angels stepping into my room right now. And I could just see, like, at the corner of my eye, like this giant angel with a blue gown. And I'm like, oh, you look so pretty. I love that happens. So I feel like this interview, more angels are going to pop into my room. And hopefully, as people are listening and just opening up their mind to the possibility of angels, because I feel like I don't know, like you just, I don't know that you need to believe, but just open your mind up to that tiny little possibility. Open that door just a tiny little crack and see what happens. And maybe you too can have the experiences that we're having. You never know. Just be open to it. whatever it looks like for each
Yeah.
person, right? Because everybody sees
Yes.
angels different. And I love it. I love
Yeah.
that we're talking about angels. So for this
Yeah.
card, we hear your cry.
Yeah. Yes.
And then each of these cards, you have something written on the back of them.
Yeah.
So, and then that's just whatever you have been inspired to write on the back.
Yes. And I always feel when they come, they have a really important purpose. You know, they're trying, um, that angelic realm, that angelic energy is there to help support us, pick
Yeah,
us up, inspire us. And quite often I have felt are people that have been experiencing, severe depression, where
yeah,
they just cannot get out of it, you know, have maybe been drawn to We Hear Your Cry or for whatever reason, And
yeah,
again, it's almost like that feeling of when we're in despair or desperation, you know, that's when they really come and enter to support us. And again, the words that would come are, I always feel very inspired. And it's very much so about when you travel to it reads, when man has traveled to the end of the road
yeah,
and falls to the ground upon his knees, for there is only darkness to be seen. So it continues on, but it's very much so about you calling. It's like we just shared about Angel I Am. That man came in and he said, "Can you tell me who my angel is?" He actually manifested it. And it's the same with this, when we're in that such a dark place and we're in despair and loneliness and isolation, just even if it's the last thing we can do is just to make that call.
yeah,
They come. I mean, they have done so much for me in my hours of darkness, and I've had a few of those.
yeah,
Uh, and they have come in a way when there was one particular time I didn't, well, two, I didn't want to be here anymore. But
yeah,
right at that moment where I had nothing again left,
yeah.
enter the spirit realm. My life was picked up moments later, hours later, next day. So, and if it's not through something mystical, that help will come through another person,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And
synchronicity.
that's the beauty of it, that they will come and support us in whatever way they can access us or we can access them, which I think is really beautiful. Um,
So
I've
do
certainly learned that over the years.
so do you think, um, just me thinking out loud, that we need to ask? If we don't ask, they don't come, or they just come automatically?
Well, I think that could be twofold.
Yeah,
My own experiences, my own personal experiences, when I've been in a really desperate place in my life, um, when I felt nobody else would help me, could help me, um, and I had to ask for some divine intervention because I couldn't get out of where I was in. I
yeah,
have had to ask. And that call is very important. And it has been something that I've observed in my life. Angels will come in many forms, I feel. It's through your loved ones, through strangers, just at the right time. But actual manifesting from the spirit world, I've had a number of extraordinary experiences where, when again, it's a personal thing, when I have been put into a place within myself that I have had to call, I have had to make a call, um, I have had a divine intervention and on many occasions a materialization. That's the only way I can put it, in a
wow.
few different forms. Yeah,
Oh, that is that's so fascinating. So here's our next card, Angel of Miracles.
yeah,
Oh, she's so beautiful. and tell me the story of this card.
Well, this one came around the time my own daughter was going through struggles at a young age. She was very challenged
Yeah,
with a particular family situation. And I felt called one day to start drawing, or painting. I'd never know what was going to come, never. So I just start.
yeah,
And during the process, I realized I was made very aware that this was for her. And it was very much so about, I told her the story of it. And it was very much like she's 33 now. She's an incredible human being, just incredible. And she's very soulful in everything she does. It's always for the underdog, supporting the people that need a voice. But
yeah,
part of the message for her, whilst I was painting this, like it's for everyone, it's for all of
yeah,
us. But her specific, the experience I had specifically with it was about her using her voice as she got older, being given a voice, and that in that voice of support for others, miracles could be achieved, whereby that beautiful energy, the miracles of spirit through people's voices when they speak in a way that's compassionate, empathetic, supporting of our brothers and sisters, that's when magic happens and miracles can happen. So it's very much so around that.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and it always stays with me. Yeah.
That is beautiful. And then we have this card, Guardian of the Soul. Oh, that is stunning.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually there was a gentleman, a beautiful Irish gentleman who came to the gallery and he absolutely this was the one where he said he just couldn't pull himself. He felt as though it pulled him into it. And he himself felt it was very connected to the earth. And like, when I was in the process of it, that's the essence of it. If you look at it, it actually like has roots of a tree,
Yeah,
and it's very much so about Mother Earth,
yeah,
connecting to the earth. Um, and it's also very much so about overcoming um our fears or overcoming, how would I say? It speaks about using love
yeah.
as actually I'll get it out here because again the words are beautiful if I can find it. Normally I can ream these off, no problem. But hold on, where are we? And please don't tell me it's another one that I don't have here.
So you're speaking about the back, correct?
Yes, if you could show the back to me.
Yes.
It's come, take my holy hands, for God calls you to cross the great waters, to delve deep into the muddy waters, to face one's fears and inner deep demons, to go within to test the soul. Man's only weapon is that of love, to erase the darkness which lies beneath. Now, this gentleman that I was telling you about, he was going on a trip to the Amazon, and he actually brought Guardian of the Soul with him. And he was going to do this, I suppose, this inner work, and he was with a tribe, and
Yeah.
he was actually placed inside a tree. And he was left there for I think 3 days and 3 nights, or whatever work, inner work he
Yeah.
was doing, he brought Guardian of the Soul. He said he had extraordinary experiences, and he said one of his most terrifying whilst he was in this tree was this quite venomous spider entering where he was. And he was with another gentleman. I know it sounds absolutely, I wouldn't be able to do it. But he said he took the guardian of the soul out, and he said he just prayed and prayed and prayed with it. But he said the spider left. Now I know it's a whatever gimmicky story, but he carries it everywhere he goes with him as a reminder in terms of overcoming his fears. Because
Yeah.
he said he remembers just remembering to overcome his fears with love. So
Yeah.
he communicated with the spider and it left him alone. So it's yeah, a light-hearted, well, kind of story, but yes, that was one
I
of them.
like it because I have heard so many stories like that. Like his is not the first where you're in a situation and then all of a sudden angels step forward
Yes.
and they could look like humans or however, and they protect us. So
Yeah.
it's not gimmicky, it's so true. I do it all
Yes.
the time. It's like help. And then there's this one. This is beautiful. Angel of Passage. Oh, the color is so stunning.
Um, Again, when this one came, I actually struggled a little bit with it. I think because of the symbolism and having been brought up Catholic and everything that was going on around Catholicism at the time. But I did struggle with it, but it came anyway. And the words, which I absolutely adore, again, and another teaching. And it's very much so about, rising. It's like a rising phoenix, a passage from death into rebirth. But
Yeah.
it's actually been placed in a number of places. And there's well, two particular stories. One day, this gentleman, a husband and wife, arrived. They wanted to visit the angel sanctuary, so we opened it up for them, and they were on holidays from Scotland.
Yeah.
And the lady was a bit anxious because she said her husband was really did not want to enter. He was not interested. He thought it was a load of rubbish and all the rest. But he decided he'd go in with her anyway, just to please her.
Yeah.
Anyhow, it was some 2 hours later, we saw them come out and just leave. So I thought, well, isn't it lovely that he did actually spend the few hours in there,
Yeah.
if nothing else? I said that was lovely for his wife, that, he accompanied her and stayed there. Anyhow, it was the next morning, and it was a Sunday morning, and we were closed, but there was a knock on our door early in the morning. And the lovely Scottish lady was there again, and she was on her own. And she said, and we brought her in, and she was so beautiful. And she said, I just had to come back. She said to share what happened in the sanctuary yesterday with the angels. She said, my husband was not at all impressed that I brought him to an angel sanctuary. And he said he mumbled and grumbled and whatever else. But she said when we got inside, she said it was just so peaceful and calming. And she said he did walk around the gallery. And she said he stopped at a particular one. And she said he sat there and he didn't leave there for 2 hours. And she said, out of the corner of my eye, she said, I could see him crying and crying and crying and crying. And she said it happened to have been Angel of Passage. And she said, I want to share a story with you that he had never shared with anyone,
Yeah.
not even her, his whole life. And they were in their late 70s. And she said, when we got home, he said to her, I have something I want to share with you. He said, I've carried it all my life. And he said, I never shared it with anyone for fear of ridicule. And he was a survivor in the Second World War. He was a soldier. And he recalled a moment where they had been attacked and there were bombs going off all around them and gunfire. And he said all of his comrades had been killed. And he was in what was like a trench, bodies all around him. And he said he was absolutely terrified. And he started to pray and pray and pray out loud. And he said when he looked up, he said, this same image, he said, same colors, he said, appeared in front of him. And he said, it saved my life. It saved my life. And he kept saying that to his wife, it saved my life. She said he was just so emotional sharing the story. She said he cried and he cried and he cried.
Yeah.
One thinking of his comrades, the experience, but also this incredible experience. Now, it is symbolic of the risen Christ, if you like. And so it's very much so about that passage of, I suppose, absolute terror at some level for people,
Yeah.
but also that no matter what, we do continue on to live, to survive in all different forms. But
Yeah.
she said to me, you know, the even more beautiful thing, she said, because he recognized the same image as the one that had, it was an apparition. He kept calling it an apparition. Um, and she said, he told me for the first time in years that he loved me. So I just thought it was a beautiful story, you know. So that's, yeah, yeah. It's,
I love that. That is beautiful. See, there's so many stories behind each one of these cards. And now we have the Angel of Conception. Oh, that is
yes.
stunning.
Yes, this is quite an extraordinary one. There's a lot to it, especially for me. This came, and there's also little beautiful stories to it as well. This came at a really dark time in our world's history, and it was the time of Rwanda, you know, the whole genocide where men, women, and children were all slaughtered. But I was inspired to just paint around this time. And again, the image wasn't something that, again, I was expecting, but it's very much so about a pregnant female, you know, creation of life, giver of life.
Yeah.
Um, and that was captured the same time that this was actually going on. And for me, the words were, or they're really, really powerful in terms of, I suppose, maybe sharing with us just about, you know, how life is created, you know, but it's, you know, the words there, it's probably one of my favorite, and it really helps you go inside, especially when you're about to or looking at creating new life in whatever form, be it a child or be it something new. But it's just let me see the words there.
Yeah.
It's I'm sorry I have to ask you to do it because I can't find them. When one desires to conceive the heavenly form and holy quest, one becomes alive with the heavenly image, that which is the seed of God. For it is inconceivable to the mind, but recognizable only to the pure of heart and desiring soul. For it's heaven's desire that man seek out the holy chamber within, and bear witness to its birth through that of the heart and the greater conscious mind. For is it a world of love that heaven doth desire? So I suppose it's all around the miracle that is life itself, that we are, you know. So it was kind of a real reflection of what was happening at the time of Rwanda. You know, our life was been destroyed, and even today is being destroyed in all different ways. And just been reminded by spirit that gift is so precious of life, so so precious.
Yeah.
And it is holy. It is holy, you know, in terms of creation. It's, yeah, so yeah, that was it.
That was a beautiful card. And now we have this one, Angel of Abundance.
You know, this was the last piece I created um as the body of work of the 37 paintings. And again, quite a deep and meaningful one, making you go inside and, you know, take the words, feel the image, and go inside and almost examine
Yes.
what abundance actually is, It was the last piece. And during it, it was like for me personally,
Yeah.
I could feel that door to that world that I had been allowed to access. I felt it actually really physically closing, as
Yes.
if to say, this will be the last piece of this body of work for
Yeah.
you to do because there's something new to do. Now, it was 2 years later that I did find something new, but it's very much so, I suppose, getting us to, when we're all thinking, well, abundance is to do with money,
Yes.
and all the rest, but it's to actually examine what abundance actually is. For me, having been through the awful health challenges that I have had and still am challenged with having Lyme's disease, that particular one, helped me realize when I would take it out and read the words, the true meaning of abundance was just simply down to the simplistic things, you know. Um, and there's quite a lot of writing on it. Even with my glasses, I can't read it, but I'll read a little bit of it.
Just a
Um,
little bit. That's okay because then we encourage you to purchase her deck and then you can read and go deeper. So this is just like a little preview of some
yeah,
of the words in the book.
one's soul is in an abundant state at all times. It is only the misuse of the mind that creates the illusion that one is not. Therefore, abundance is the absolute truth and expression of the divine through man. Abundance is that which one desires, great love, great joy, beauty, and peace. It is the love song that is sounded by the eternal angels in praise for the Holy One that manifests all. It is the Alpha, it is the Omega, and it is the Arc. So for me, it was really saying, the simplest things in life are the most beautiful. And I realized that by literally just trying to hang on to life myself. When I would be able to walk a little and see the first flower in spring to come up, I remember having like an out of body experience, because I was able to see the beauty of this flower and what went into it.
Yeah,
And for me, at that particular moment in my life, that was an abundant moment for me, just even that little realization. So, yeah,
I agree. I totally agree. Because like after I hurt my back, simple things like that people take for granted every day, putting on shoes,
yes, yeah,
tying up shoelaces, brushing your hair, brushing your teeth, the most excruciating, painful things I could do. I couldn't even put on shoes. I think I wore sandals for the first few years after I had a severe back injury because I couldn't reach my feet. Like it was never gonna happen. But
yes,
yeah, so health, I understand the health. You just become so grateful for the tiny little things in life because they get taken away. And then when you get it back, you're like, oh, brushing your hair, simple things,
yeah,
eating. Like you don't
yeah,
realize it until you go through it.
yeah,
Yeah. But I love this. This is beautiful. Angel
yeah,
of Joy.
yeah. Again, this was one that came and it helped me get through again. I suppose when spirit comes and when they want me to create, they quite often will reflect the opposite of where I am at that particular time. And again, this came at quite a challenging time in life. It was kind of one of the last paintings of that body of work. And again, I love the teaching in terms of the words, but it very much so about that joy of each other, our children, our loved ones, and everything been precious, So again, it was a lovely teaching. But yeah, the words, for there is no greater life that may be lived than a life lived through the expression of joy and love, where there's a life lived as a true and living prayer. It's a life lived to its fullest in the acknowledgement of the gift that it is. For it is a life that is truly at one with the divine. So again, it's always trying to help us find, because let's face it, I mean, none of us get away without being challenged in life. And I mean, it's a day in, day out thing, isn't it? Let's
It
face it.
is. You have good days and you have
Yeah. And
challenging days.
even if we are spiritually aware, if you want to say like that, things happen
Human.
to us.
Yeah.
So again, they're like little ways of helping us to, if you want to say, survive,
Yeah.
get through those challenges, be they big or be they little ones. It's just helping keep us, staying centered. And they're just trying to support us in that life. Because let's face it, this school life is pretty tough. It is tough. Well, I'm going to say it's tough. It's been
It's
tough for me.
so challenging. And sometimes you're
Yeah.
just like, really, spirit? Really? Are we not
Yeah.
done? And then that's when you think like your head's above water, something else comes, you're like, what? Again? And
Yeah.
it does make you stronger. And then the one thing I find is just that faith in the angels, faith in spirit, faith in
Yeah.
divine, faith in whatever you want to call it, but this faith that everything will be okay. And this too shall pass. Yes.
Yeah. And even when we can't see that, like, because through my illness at its most severe, I did lose my faith. I really lost my faith,
Yeah.
because nobody was appearing, nobody was manifesting, and I was in total despair. But yet it's only after coming at the end of it, and been able to process the trauma of it, I realized, because I was struggling with my faith, because I felt totally abandoned.
Yeah.
But I realized, well, the spirit was moving through my husband, has been so incredibly um loving to me. He took care of me day in, day out, and also my children, and then meeting the beautiful people along the way that did actually help me eventually. So
Yeah.
it's like spirit does, when we've lost our faith,
Yeah.
yeah, we've got to try and keep our hearts open to realize, well, it is coming through people that love us, people even that we don't know, that are compassionate and empathetic people. Spirit comes through them, to help us. So that's the way to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's beautifully said.
Yeah.
And then we have going home.
Yeah. This one I feel has always been for people that have suffered grief,
Yeah.
Um, and people have actually had it, and it's been, placed in dying rooms where their loved ones are passing. And it's very much so, I suppose, connected in even with the experiences of that group of this, I'll call them this band of angels, with Angel of the Innocent,
Yeah.
that literally collect us. They come and they carry us home.
Yeah.
I've experienced it. I have seen it.
Yeah.
Um, and people might think, well, I haven't seen anything like that, but I can only share my own experiences that I've been allowed to have. And these pieces are really deeply meaningful for me in
Yeah.
terms of the purpose that these angelic energy beings have in our lives, in our life force, and that no matter what,
Yeah.
even when we pass, they carry us home. So it's very much so about that, yeah,
That is beautiful. I will add, just from my own experience, after the passing of my dad, like right after he took his last breath, you're in the room and all of a sudden the room feels full. It's so full, and you could feel spirit, loved ones in the spirit world, the angels. Even though there's only a few of us in the room, it suddenly felt very crowded and so peaceful. So I truly believe our angels show up to bring us home. Like we're not alone. Because I've even heard stories where people, especially during COVID, if their loved ones were in nursing homes and they weren't allowed into that space, and they'll be like, "Oh, I feel like my loved one passed away alone." I always share that story. I'm like, they weren't alone because the angels were surrounded by them and their family. So nobody's alone, even if they are physically alone for whatever circumstance. There are so many angels that fill the room, and it's just, yeah, it's
Yeah.
quite a miraculous experience. I will say that to be,
Apart from birth, it is the most
yeah,
sacred of experiences. You
yeah,
know, I got to experience it with my dad, not his actual passing, but a few hours before.
yeah,
And just on that, I went into him and I got into the hospital. I knew I had to get into him. It was like 6 in the morning.
yeah,
And he was dying of cancer. He had lung cancer. And I was so fatigued from the few months earlier, and the other family members had been coming in to help and that. But I lived, about an hour and a half away, so it was a big journey. And, I was just really tired at the time,
yeah,
plus going through other awful stuff at the same time. But I remember coming into him, and he was in a ward of six, but it was so, so quiet.
yeah,
And he was, you know, unconscious at the time. But I didn't, I thought, well, he'd taken a bad turn, but I didn't think he was going to be passing.
yeah,
Um, but I got to hold his hand, and I just sat with him in quiet myself, which was so precious for me, such a sacred moment. But all of a sudden, he woke up and he reached out and he started pointing out. And his eyes opened and he said, I can see all the angels, and he kept talking about baby angels. He said, I can see all the angels. And I remember just, being in floods of tears.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, it was just a really sacred and precious moment. And actually just then um, a nun came in at the bottom of the bed. And I was thinking, she's got a really old looking hat on and she'd a book. And I thought that's strange. I mean, I thought they didn't dress like this anymore. But it was only afterwards I understood what had happened. I had just had you know, another, you know, worlds colliding experience. I wasn't expecting my dad to pass at all. He wasn't meant to pass for another year because that's what they had said.
Yeah,
And I remember her saying to me, because I kind of thought, well, why are you here? You know,
yeah,
but I even forgot that it had come into my head. And it was like, because we're preparing your father. He's going to be coming home. And she had this big book. And yeah, it was that night he passed, that early next morning he actually passed. So,
so
I mean,
the
yeah.
nun was real or was an angel?
Well, she wasn't, well, she was real, but
Oh,
she wasn't actually existing in our world as real, if you know what I mean. So
oh,
I
okay.
experienced
Oh, so it's like an
her,
angel
when I'm
nun.
saying
I love-
worlds collide, I
Yeah,
was allowed to experience this person in spirit,
yeah.
moving forward,
Wow.
standing at the bottom of my dad's bed after he talked about the angels. Now he had gone back into kind of semi-consciousness.
Yeah,
And she had this big book and she just said, we're preparing your dad. He'll be coming home.
wow.
And I mean, I haven't really shared it with anyone apart from my husband and my children, but it was just, and it was only afterwards, I was like, "Oh, why did I not understand that? Why, I kind of put it over here. Well,
Yeah.
I didn't want my dad to die. I didn't think he was going to die. So
Yeah.
it was those two worlds colliding where we were here. He was seeing these angels.
That's
They were coming for him. They were coming to collect him. It's like going home, you know. They were there. They were coming. And then the nun coming in to say, well, we are.
yeah.
Yeah.
Go the
Yeah.
card one more time. That's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing. I love angels. They're the best. And now we have this angel, Angel of Revelations.
Ooh, Revelations is big and booming. It was like when this piece came through, um yeah, things were I was getting a little, how would I say, because we had this gallery and you know, you'd have thousands, you would have 8,000 people in a season coming through, and the whole essence of it was about being quiet and all the rest, but it was really busy at times.
Yeah.
And but this piece came through, and it was very much so about, you know, you have asked us for something. Do you not trust us? You know,
Yeah.
whatever you ask for that is going to serve you for your highest good and your brothers and sisters in this world. Do you not trust that? You know, and it was like, you know, well, if you've asked for it and there's the right intention, it is going to happen. And so it was very much so about that, you know.
Yeah.
It was if you've asked for something in heaven's name and with that in, you know, desired intention of goodness for all and everything,
Yes.
you must believe. You must know it's going to manifest. So it was very much so about that.
I love that. And then we have this card, Angel of Purity. Looks like a
Um,
baby angel.
well, you know, there's a little story to this one. My personal story was I, after my two girls, wasn't going to have any more children. That was it, you know, and I just was going to get on with my work. And um, 11 years later, a 11-year gap, and you know, um, I became pregnant. And I was like, oh my God. And I was quite ill during it, you know. I was 33 at the time, I think it was, yeah. And I actually had to stop work.
Yeah.
I did nothing. The gallery was open, but I just did nothing.
Yeah.
And one day I felt I got this energy and I thought, I want to go and paint. I want to go and paint. I want to go and paint, you know, and I had to go. And within a few hours, this beautiful angel had come. And it will be one of my favorite. It's because it's kind of translucent as well. Um, but when my daughter was born, there's even a story around me even becoming pregnant. It's really bizarre, but um, because I wasn't pregnant. But it was the only piece I painted. Now my other girls are really dark. They're half Vietnamese. And but of course that was, well, we won't talk about that part, the previous marriage, but um my husband at the time, um and when Molly was born, um she was transparent white. That's the only way I can describe her, and white fluffy curls.
Yeah.
So I always felt that Spirit had allowed me to actually experience her before she was born because that is what she was like, white, fluffy, and transparent. I even remember doctors saying to me, her skin is, I've never seen skin as transparent and white ever, you know. But and we also, Moll was only 14 months old and she had an awakened form of SIDS and she basically died in my arms.
Yeah.
But eventually she came back because my husband done CPR on her. But
Yeah.
it's very much so about I suppose the essence of it is again about life
Yeah.
and purity of life and how, you know, to treat it as such, you know, and to Um, yeah, just acknowledge this incredible vessel that we travel in, our light travels in, you
Yeah.
know, and to treat it as such, to treat it as best we can. Again, it's not, I suppose, telling us what to do, but it's maybe just, if we pull it, just acknowledge it that, well, maybe there's something we're doing that is maybe not so positive for us. And maybe it's just a gentle kind of realignment to what can help us. So, yeah.
Yeah. I love that. And then we have this. The-
Oh, Angel of the Innocent. The story with that is, I think I may have shared it with you before, but when groups would come to visit the gallery, I would always share this as one of the stories because I always felt a really big responsibility. You know, I suppose we're at some level ambassadors, and sometimes we have to speak up,
Yeah.
about what we do because quite often, like I've been attacked a few times about my work and what I do, and even painting angels and having an angel gallery. It's hasn't always been easy. It's been challenging over the years. And But this particular one, the kids had gone to school starting back in September. It was a beautiful morning. And I went back home just to tidy up and do the dishes. And I was looking out the window, and all of a sudden, I just felt I had to go and paint. But I felt it was a little different this time. And there was kind of an anxiety around it, or there was something not right, like all of the other times about painting. So I went really quickly up to my little room and I got my things out to start. And it was the first time that I was actually just, I don't even remember painting it. I was just taken away.
Yeah.
Um, and I was in this place where it was just absolutely, I mean, it was heavenly. I could hear, feel, and see. I just see energy moving, colors. I could hear this most incredible sound, and the sound was bouncing all around.
Yeah.
Oh, and it would create colors, and it was just incredible.
Yeah.
And in the distance, and this is what I was seeing in the distance. I could see this figure kind of moving towards me, and the more it got closer, the more it took form. Now, the form that I saw is this form that is captured, and there was a communication. It was like, would you like to participate in our purpose in your world?
Yeah.
And I felt, oh my God, this is just incredibly beautiful. And I said yes.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I could see many other forms begin to build and manifest. And it was like there was an army of angels. That's the only way I can describe it. And in the blink of an eye, it was like going from heaven to hell. That's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah.
And the place that I was transported to was a place where we're seeing on our TVs now, where there's been total destruction, bombs, fire, rubble, burning,
Yeah.
wailing. I could hear all these awful sounds of children, mothers, fathers wailing. And I was told to stay where I was and to observe and to feel.
Yeah.
And this beautiful being moved away from me. And at the same time, I could see all these beautiful balls of light starting to move across the rubble,
Yeah.
like they were floating all the way across the rubble, as if they were searching for something. And this particular angel bent down and picked something up,
Yeah.
turned around to me, and was holding this most beautiful little child. Only this child's body was totally broken. And with big tears rolling down the angel's face, it said to me, our love for you all is so great, it's indescribable, but so
Yeah.
too is our sorrow for what you do to each other in this world. And in a split second, I was back in my room.
Yeah.
There was this most beautiful painting. of that angel that I just experienced. I was after traumatized for the next 3 weeks because I had experienced this awful horror. And equally, I'd experienced this awful compassion and love and this holy love. That's the only way I can describe it. And it was 3 weeks later I was to understand the purpose of it
Yeah.
because it had all been a premonition. And there was a little school in Beslan had been taken hostage by militant separatists, I don't know what. And we all watched it. I mean, Sky at the time was starting to show like live images. So everybody around the world were watching these televised pieces where children had all been taken hostage in their school. Their mothers, their fathers, their grandfathers, their grandmothers who had left them to school. They were all held hostage in the school. They even had bombs strapped to them. They had to drink their own urine to survive because of the heat. And then things started to go terribly wrong. The bombs started to go off, and there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of children, beautiful children, like our children, mothers, fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers. They were all totally, wiped out. And I remember the next day, our national newspaper came out, and the front page was of a father carrying this broken child with big
Yeah.
tears rolling down his face. And to me, that was the image that the angel had shown me, you
Yeah.
know. And the extraordinary thing was a few years later, it was only actually about 2, 3 years ago. This was painted back in the early 2000s. Um, but after I started my health to improve a little, my husband was trying to help me do things and on the computer, and he came upon the story because I wanted to write the story to capture it and to have it there so that if people wanted to read it, it was important.
Yeah.
And he was researching Beslan, and he came upon it's a beautiful man who looks after um, the area that they were all killed in, where there's a graveyard has been created. Beautiful sculpture has recently been erected.
Yeah.
It's called the City of Angels, and that's basically the image that has been recreated in sculpture form. I mean, it was just such an incredible experience. That painting is also was sent to places in the States where I know, there was a mass shooting, and the painting itself was used in some of the counseling rooms for the trauma victims that were left. So, I mean, it's hugely important piece for me
Yeah.
in terms of how spirit see, feel, and are still trying to help us.
Yeah.
Even when these awful atrocities are happening,
Yeah.
and they're wanting us to listen, and yeah, it's always been a really important piece for me. Yeah, yeah,
It, this is a beautiful card. Do you want to read the back that
yeah.
inspired you?
And I carried you to the center of all being, and there I did lay you down to rest upon the holy altar. And the heavenly angels did come to you to enter the holy chamber. And a great light was cast upon you and all around you. And God did say, mend my broken spirit and return it to my garden to be nourished and grow once more and be forever in my light. So I think the words are just saying, that no matter what, we're always brought home.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, yeah.
So our
And
prayers go out to everybody going through those challenging times, even today within our world. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then we have Angel of Love.
Yes. It's again, it's a beautiful one. I always think of that, me and my husband. He's such a wonderful person. But it's actually people came into the gallery and they got married in front of it. It was quite beautiful. They actually had ceremonies and because they felt such a connection to it. Um, and it's very much so about us meeting that other part of ourselves, but it's almost like spirit telling us to call. That was a feeling I always got when painting it. It's to keep calling that other part of us, you
Yeah.
know, and that it will come. It will come in whatever form, you know.
So is there two angels hugging? It looks like two angels embracing.
That's right. It's like they're two, but they're one, you know. And yeah, the words are quite lovely as well.
They are beautiful. And then we have this, the angel of calm.
Yeah, this is I mean there was one beautiful lady she came to the gallery and this was the angel that she felt connected with and she took it with her, you
Yeah.
know, and it traveled with her. She was actually diagnosed with breast cancer at the time.
Yeah.
And it was the one thing she said, her experience in the gallery with the angel, she felt this complete peace,
Yeah.
complete calm, where she had been in complete turmoil. And it was from that moment on, she felt she had been gifted from spirit this sense of, just inner peace,
Yeah.
that no matter what was going to come her way,
Yeah.
that she was going, the energy of this angel, was going to be with her. And right up to the moment that she actually passed, she said to me, the last time we met her, she said, I have no fear. She said, I know where I'm going. I
Yeah.
have no fear. And she said that was the gift of the experience she had with the angel of calm for her in her moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah,
And we
yeah.
can definitely use angel of calm. Yes.
Oh,
That is
most.
beautiful card. And now we have this card. And just as a reminder for those of you that are watching, I am showing the prayers in the back of the cards if you want to pause the video and read it. And then don't forget, you can get your own copy on Lorraine's website. So what is the name of your website? Let's tell everybody right now. It is
Oh, it's
at the bottom of the show notes. But I thought in case as we're going through the video, you guys are so excited and you want to research her now and your
I hope
website.
I get it. I hope I get it right because my daughter's always giving out to me because she does all that kind of stuff. And she said, Mom, you got it wrong. But it's Gifts for the Soul by Larry.com. So yeah.
Beautiful. And I'm going to have all of our social media contact, all the links, the website, so you guys can go on over to her website. And I think, too, this is a beautiful gift for anybody, any of your friends, or anybody in your family that loves angels. Because, like, I don't know how you don't love angels, but just me. Even now,
Yeah.
like back here, that angel I got years ago as a gift from my cousin. I was very sick in the hospital and they're trying to figure out what was wrong with me. But it's like I love my angel statues. They're like near and dear. And isn't it amazing? I find when you're sick and ill and you go to like the hospital, the gift shops, it's all about angels.
Yeah.
Everything's about angels. So there's something there, people, about angels. And now we have our next angel, angel of guidance.
Yeah. Well, this is very much so, I suppose, about um I suppose Spirit was trying to I wouldn't have always had, I would have struggled with confidence. But I
Yeah,
suppose Spirit was saying to me, well, if you want to find your way, instead of maybe asking others, maybe just try and listen. Just try and listen to yourself, because if you can listen to yourself and not from a place of fear, if you feel it's like, you know, making you feel, fearful, well, that's not the place to listen to. But when you start to really truly listen to yourself in that place of quiet, you
Yeah.
know, your own guidance, your own spirit that is connected to, the source of all,
Yeah.
you will be able to find your way. Inspiration then will kind of just, bubble up inside you. You'll
Yeah.
know what to do, you'll feel what to do. So it's really important for us not to kind of always be looking outside for outside intervention, but
Yeah.
to just try and sit, and make your intention that you want to, listen and uncover your own guidance,
Yeah.
so yeah.
That's beautiful. And here we have the Angel of Harmony. Oh, that's beautiful. That is stunning.
There's a beautiful story behind this one too. We had a man come to visit us it was at the time we had the gallery in Ireland, and he was from the county council because we had wanted to put in extra signage along the road to help people find where we were.
Mm.
And when he came to the gate, he said, I have to come in and see the gallery. And we were going, oh God, he's probably going to, because, we did have challenges with people. And, we thought, well, maybe he'll probably try and close us down, knowing our luck. And anyway, he spent ages in the gallery, and he came to me afterwards and he said, would you paint an angel for my daughter? He said, I just feel there's something beautiful in here. So I said, of course I will, and all the angels that I painted would have still been kept. So I would just pass on, say, a limited edition print or whatever, because it was important for me to create the space that was the gallery and the atmosphere.
Yeah.
So anyway, I had done that. And lo and behold, not only did this angel come, but another one called Angel of Safekeeping. The two of them came at once, and he never turned up. And it was months and months and months later, probably about 6, 7 months later, and he arrived at our door one day, and he said, "I'm so, so sorry." He said, "We've just had a really traumatic couple of months." And he said, "I wasn't able to get to you." He said, "My son took seriously ill and was critically ill in hospital, and we thought we were going to lose him.
Yeah.
And he had a serious operation for a number of hours, and we didn't think he'd survive. And it was really touch and go. He was in intensive care,
Hmm.
but he said he's okay now." And he said, he had an experience.
Yeah.
He said, "I want to share it to you," because he said, "I know I can." He said, "I know it's not everyone you can," but he said he woke up
Yeah.
and for the first time, and he said, "Mum, Dad," he said, "an angel was holding me. An angel was holding me." He was 17 at the time,
Yeah.
and he kept just saying, "An angel was holding me. An angel was holding me," and I knew I was going to be okay. And he just shared the story with us. So I said to him, "Well, I said, there are two angels came." I said, and one is this angel, and this, angel of harmony was for your daughter, and the other one, angel of safekeeping, just came along. And when he brought the two paintings home, when the son saw angel of safekeeping, he started to war cry, and he said, "Mum, Dad," he said, "that's the angel that was holding me. That was the angel that was with me."
That's beautiful.
So
Because in
it
this
was,
painting, there's two angels, baby angels.
yeah. But angel of safekeeping is a different one, but they both came together. But it was just extraordinary that two had come when I was only asked to do one. But the second one was the angel that had as the young man said, that had actually held him, and told him he was going to be okay. So,
I love the behind the scenes story. So for our viewers or listeners, if you are enjoying the behind the scenes story of what inspired Lorrie, please do reach out to her on social media or email her and let her know how the stories have touched your heart. Because I know they're touching my heart for sure. I have moments where I'm like holding back the tears because it's so moving, the stories that you share with each card. It's so heart-centered. It's absolutely beautiful. So here is our next card, Glimpse of an Angel.
yeah, again, I mean, I find myself now saying, I love this angel myself. I mean, because they are from spirit. This one, I feel, again, I absolutely adore the words. I adore the teaching and the meaning behind them. And it's very much so about, we can be angels for other people. And the words are, if you want to turn them, but it's reach out to your fellow man when he has fallen, for he is lost, and allow God to be seen deep in your eyes and deep in your heart, for man will then find himself as you walk the heavenly angels. I feel it's like almost, when somebody is maybe in a really dark place and possibly not being themselves,
Yeah,
you know, and um, cannot see the right way or do the right thing, and they're very lost. That sometimes, or even if they've done something that is very bad, or that we feel is really, really bad in all different kinds of ways, sometimes spirit asks us to actually be that angel for another person,
yeah,
to help them, to teach them, and to give them a little glimpse of spirit through us and our actions,
yeah,
so that they may experience that glimpse and actually realize something where maybe they have never experienced love in their life, and
mm,
that's why they are the way they are. But if we
yeah,
can reach out and express that, we are actually expressing, empathy, compassion, and love to
yeah,
somebody who a lot of people may feel don't need it or shouldn't have it. But if we can express that, we're expressing the
yeah,
purpose of spirit through ourselves, to another, to maybe inspire that person that, is very lost and in a dark place or has done terribly wrong things.
yeah.
Uh, yeah. So
Beautifully said. And now our next card, Angel of Strength.
yeah, it's again, it's at times I feel when they have come forward, they have been very much so when we're feeling the opposite of strength, be it
Yeah,
emotional, especially emotional, I think,
yeah,
and physical. I mean, it's been all in one for me at times.
yeah,
But I really feel again that, when we call, if we're lacking in strength, be it physically or emotionally, I have definitely experienced that strength. And again, it's like I've said earlier, it's like we may not have it ourselves, but it will come through other people and it will touch us, and help us. It will give us strength.
it will. And now we have Angel of New Life. Oh,
Yeah.
that is beautiful. It almost reminds me of Genie in a Bottle.
Yes.
So
Yes.
pretty.
I think it's really about, the miracles of spirit when we're hoping and praying for something and, you know, we're feeling a bit lost and all the rest. And all of a sudden, like there have been times when I've been feeling a bit down and I've maybe pulled it and thought, what am I doing? Where am I going? How am I going to get wherever I'm going if I'm feeling like this? And
Yeah,
I've pulled this And again, it's kind of, I've sat with it and I've said, okay, now pull yourself together and just start to,
Yeah,
connect again. Because sometimes we can become disconnected. I'm sure you feel that. I
true.
have felt that quite often in my life where I don't feel anything and
Yeah,
I'm pretty lost. And it's a matter of encouraging us that no matter what, every moment is new life, but we can actually help change our situation as well by, you know, reaching out to spirit or even just taking the words and processing it, listening to us, and it might even just lift our mood,
yeah.
lift our energy a little.
I love that. You said something very important, so I want to expand a little bit more on it. So, for somebody that buys your deck, how would they use it? You gave us a little bit of how to use it. So, somebody's completely brand new, they're super excited about this angel deck. Are they like, how would you have them use it? Like, how would you recommend for people that have never used an angel deck?
Well, it's unique to everybody and there's kind of no rules or regulations on it, but um I myself is just like when I feel inspired, I kind of feel okay, I'm a bit low. So I just need a little kind of help. So I will sit quietly and I'll just set my intention and I'll have a conversation and say to Spirit, look, I'm not feeling great. So I wonder if you could help me out or give me some direction. And I'll just pick a card, but I'll carry that card. I will kind of use that for the time I feel I need to let it go, and I'll observe myself. I think that's really important, or I have found that personally.
Mhm.
If I carry this card with me for the week, say, and, it could be once a day, it could be once in that whole week. But,
Yeah,
if I read the words or if I look at the pictures, sometimes it's the pictures that pull you in, and
yeah,
that's all, not the words. It could be just the picture or vice versa.
yeah,
And I really feel it's helping kind of teach us, or it's kind of bringing us back to a place of balance within ourselves.
yeah,
And by the end of this period, whatever it is, be it a day, be it a week, be it 2 weeks, you will see the transformation. So it's just keeping that energy, the words, the picture, you
yeah.
know, it's keeping it in your consciousness throughout your day, reminding you that you're not alone, you have support,
Oh,
and
I
to
love that.
call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you for explaining that to us. And if you guys are listening, you have any questions, again, just email Lori. She's super approachable. Reach out to her with any questions you may have. So here
Yeah.
is Angel I Am, because you have spoken about this angel earlier. So now
Yes.
we finally can look at it.
Yes, this was, and I never expected to be able to recreate it because that's not how I work.
Right.
Because I will just create from inside out. I never know what's going to manifest.
Yeah.
So when this lovely gentleman had rushed into the gallery and said, what does my angel look like? This incredible angel appeared behind and above him. And I was just, I was just blown away by it. And I actually just sat with it myself because I didn't want to lose the experience.
Yeah.
And I just thought, at the same time, I thought, oh my God, I would love to have been able to capture that, because it was just so divine. And so if you think about that memory, that picture is gone, it's out there. But it was some weeks later, I just felt I want to start. I'm been called to do something.
Yeah.
And I started to move and, work with wherever we were going. And there it was. So that was my gift. And it's very much so again about, finding your way and the right moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And here is Angel of Remembrance. Oh, this is stunning with the colors.
Yeah. This is again, I suppose it's connecting in with those moments of grief, that we
Yeah.
experience. And that was painted kind of just after my dad passed. I remember the morning he had passed, and I was woken up by my husband to say my uncle had just called to say he'd passed.
Yeah.
And I remember I was sitting, it was 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was totally distraught, totally, as I know you totally understand, Maria.
Yeah.
And I remember just looking out the window, just sitting with a beautiful big bay window in our bedroom. And one of my, I suppose I find the rising sun as being such a miraculous moment to witness. And I remember sitting in the window, and it was an August morning. So we had a really early sunrise. And
Yeah.
I remember seeing the sun coming up, especially in Ireland, it's not that often. And I remember seeing as the sun rose, I seen this beautiful hand, if I can do
Yeah.
this beautiful hand underneath the rising sun. And it was a hand. I could see a hand. It was like holding the sun. And I just saw it as spirit saying to me, we have your father. We have him. He's with us. And I remember it was some time afterwards just moving, and I just felt with the colors and just the image that spirit brought. It's quite childlike when you look at it. It doesn't matter, but it was the essence of it, the interpretation of it and what spirit was saying. And the angel of remembrance is the soul is forever alive and never dies. So it's
Yeah.
it's quite yeah,
That is what you wrote.
yeah. The soul never dies and is forever alive. Yes. Yeah.
I love that. And here we have the angel of balance.
There's a really funny story with this one. Well, one of the funny stories I'll tell you. Again, it's very much so to do with, you know, um, just with life itself can pull us and push us, and we can find ourselves not knowing whether we're coming or going. So
Yeah.
it's very so about coming back into balance. It's also, I get a feel with it of justice around it as well. That the truth will prevail, the right thing will happen. So it's very much so about that.
Yeah.
Um, which is interesting leading on to the story because one day my husband got a call and it was a very London accent on the telephone. Now, I'm not going to attempt it. My husband always does it, and it's very funny. But it was the Metropolitan Police from London, a detective.
Yeah.
And my husband thought straight away, this is one of my friends,
Yeah.
playing a game on me.
Yeah.
And he was kind of laughing. Anyway, as the conversation went on, he said, okay, I better listen and take it seriously because I've already said, are you one of my friends? You're pulling my leg here. And the man said, no, I'm not. He said, I'm detective, blah, blah. He said, I'm calling from the Metropolitan Police in London. He said, we had a gentleman. He said he was high priority prisoner
Yeah.
and he escaped whilst transporting him from the Isle of Wight to back onto the mainland for his up and coming hearing his case.
Yeah.
And he said he was last spotted in Grafton Street in Dublin. And my husband's kind of going, what's this got to do with us?
Yeah.
He said, he said, well, interestingly enough, he said, we found upon his belongings when we captured him the Angel of Balance
Oh,
from your gallery.
oh,
It
wow.
was a bookmarker we had called the Angel of Balance. And he said, he's quite, spiritually orientated that way as an individual, he said, amongst a lot of other things. But he said, he recently has just cleared out, he said, a number of places in Dublin.
Mhm.
He's a very well-known con artist. He's internationally wanted. And
Yeah.
he said he goes around the world, he said, doing things like that. And he said he escaped from our custody. He was actually South American, very well known. I think there's been a film made on him.
Yeah.
Um, he said, I just feel, he said, given he had this on him, he will make his way to your gallery. And we were all like, high alert, red alert. There's a criminal on the way. And, we were like, oh my God. And he said, if he happens to turn up, he said, I want you to call both myself and he said the Irish police immediately, but don't alert him to anything. So there was such excitement in our household. Anyhow, we're looking at the 6 o'clock national news on RTE. The first main thing that comes on the television is um, a criminal who has escaped from the Isle of Wight, international conman, has just been captured and apprehended in Dublin after clearing out the Shelburne Hotel, he said, and a jeweller's in terms of credit cards. So yes, he was apprehended.
Well,
He
that's good.
didn't get to come to visit us. And my husband was kind of jeering me and saying, well, maybe you could have, changed him.
Maybe.
So maybe the angels could have changed him.
Well, that
So I
is
said,
funny.
maybe he's helping the poor. I don't know.
Don't
So
know, but it's interesting that he ended up with your card.
yes, yes,
What an
yeah,
interesting story. And now we have this card, Angel of Stillness. Oh, this is
yeah,
breathtaking.
yes.
So
It's
beautiful.
one of those ones that's you kind of see it, but you're not sure. And it's very much so about those moments of stillness. And our world is so, so busy, isn't it? Between, technology and everything else, and then just struggling to live and struggling to survive. So it's very much so, and self-help in terms of asking us to be still and just trying to turn off from that, outer world so that we can go inside and listen to that really positive inner world,
Yeah,
that's there for us.
that is beautiful. And now we have this Angel of Exploration. Oh, you know what? She reminds me of somebody like skiing or going down a mountain skiing, just
She's
having
like,
fun with
somebody
it.
said it's like as if she's in water or something. So it's very much so about going with the flow. Actually, somebody also shared with me, yeah, it's about exploring all those positive avenues. It's like leaving a little trail, little hints
Yeah,
that, about finding your way. Actually, one woman who picked it, um, and she realized later on that it had actually brought her to France. And because if you see in the chest, there's like a cross-like image on it. But she was very interested in the Cathars people. So she always felt that it actually brought her. She started exploring and investigating that whole aspect of, the Cathars and Knights
yeah,
Templar. But she used to carry it with her. And then she realized, oh my God, she said, there's the cross. So it was actually guiding me. So it's
yeah.
different for everyone.
Oh, I love that. And then we have the Angel of Openness.
This was the very first painting I
It?
created.
Oh, wow.
This was the first ever piece after I was told, because I'd never painted, I'd never drawn, nothing. And I would doodle and do little things like that, but never use anything. But um, I would, it was the very first piece, and I was told by Spirit, go and get yourself some colors and whatever. And I was like, oh my God, I got really excited and started playing with stuff, and it was a disaster. And then I got pastels and I found them, and I just thought, okay, Spirit, you do your thing.
Yeah,
And this came, and it, I gave it to my husband, and it was very much so, it was like taking that leap. And really, it was so relevant to my own journey because it was the moment that spirit kind of caught me in terms of, we want you to start painting the world we bring to you, and you will understand it, how it will help others later, but first it's for you. So it was a really like a door opening and a journey began.
I find sometimes when spirit guides us, they're a little bit bossy. Probably because we
Yeah,
haven't listened a couple of times with the whispers and then they get louder. But I
yeah,
love that for you.
most
Uh,
definitely.
Here we go. Angel of Certainty. This is stunning.
Do you know who has this?
Who
You
has
won't, you won't believe it. Prince Charles.
Oh, wow. Ordered like the print or the cards?
He didn't order it, but somebody ordered it for him.
Oh,
So I thought that
beautiful.
was really interesting. And it was just before he married Camilla.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? I thought that's weird. But anyhow,
See,
whatever.
even the royals love angels. I love it because it does have that. It's beautiful. It's stunning, the card.
Yeah.
It
And
is,
again, that when that came out, actually a lot of people who have lost a child, especially a boy, which is beautiful, they're very drawn to it and they've shared that. You
yeah,
know, some people have even said that they've experienced their child
yeah,
with a blue surrounding them, that had passed on. I've
yeah,
had that shared with me. And that's why they were so drawn to it. But it's very much so about that kind of inner child feel
yeah,
and those feel, when we move from that place of joy and innocence, that, whatever it is our dreams are, they're certain, because that's what spirit, I feel, are telling you. They
yeah,
are certain to manifest.
yeah,
In what way it will happen in
yeah.
some form. Maybe not how you expected, but it's certain. So I thought that was lovely too.
It is beautiful. And now here's our next card, Angel of Grace.
Grace, yes. I was attacked over this piece.
Really?
Yes, oh my
Wow.
God. Um,
Will not like.
and I'm always very respectful and appreciative of whatever spirit creates because to me they're a physical gift from spirit.
Yeah,
But yeah, so she is naked, so I feel very much so it's to do with, being in grace over just life and everything, how we're made and what we look like. And it was very much so to do with, being given grace to move through whatever it is you're struggling with. But
yeah,
I remember I'd been invited to do a trade show because I'm going back to 2011 in Georgia, I think it was in the States.
yeah.
This lady came over and well, yeah, I had a lovely American lady helping me to show the works and all the rest. And this lady came over and she said, "Oh, I love angels. I love angels." And she wanted to pick one and whatever else. And she said, "I want to bring these home to my little grandchild." And I said, "Well, what a beautiful thing to do. That's really lovely." And I said, "What's her name?" And she said, "Angel of Grace," or she said, "Grace." And I said, "Wow, what a coincidence. I have an Angel of Grace."
Yeah.
And I showed it to her and she lost it with me in front of,
Oh
you know,
no.
she lost it with me. And she said, "That's more like the devil's work than anything." She said, "A naked angel." And I was distraught. Like, she really went at me.
Yeah.
And I just thought, okay, well, I've got to learn something here. But, equally she does too. But she just threw the cards at me and left, and
Oh,
shouted at me, went off. They're just some of the little awful things that have happened to me along the way at my work. But yeah.
people are
So,
interesting. I will say that.
yes,
The one
yes,
thing I find, like when I look at the card, and yes, she has no clothes, but it's also about being vulnerable
yes,
and being
very much
seen
so.
for what you truly are or are experiencing. And that's so hard for so many people. So it's easier to be completely clothed and have all those different masks on. And
Yes.
here it's like there's no mask. It's take me as I am. So,
And yes,
it's a
I
grace.
did feel very vulnerable that day, and I had to, I wasn't even going to go back to the show, but I had to really gather myself and kind of go, well, okay, yeah, this is my work, and um, some will like it and some won't. So I had to be vulnerable, but yeah, it is saying it's about being who you are, being yourself, most
It's
definitely.
beautiful. Do you want to read the back of it?
Yeah. So it says, God has sent you the angel of grace. This marks a turning point in your life when a lot of positive change is forthcoming. With grace, you are able to move through life no matter what it brings. Grace gives you everything, the tools you require to journey through life, becoming and accepting who you truly are. Yeah. So very much so about being vulnerable.
Actually, a very powerful card.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
really is stepping into who you are authentically are. I will say, even for myself, like doing the podcast, uh, I was hiding behind a mask because the first couple episodes of my podcast, there was no video. I was so terrified of being seen. You're not going to
Mm.
find videos, there are none. And then finally, last year in January, someone's like, yeah, you're doing the videos. I was like, oh, to be seen and to be vulnerable and to walk with grace.
Yeah.
What are you people asking? And now I'm okay, but it was scary. So,
I
and
can, and
although,
I can
yeah,
totally relate to that because I go through that, every day, you know,
yeah.
every
So
single day. It's a
I hope
challenge.
as people hear these stories that you're sharing, and I'm just putting a tiny little bit, that you don't feel alone and that it feels relatable and you can find how it fits within your own life. I think is
Yeah.
so powerful to build that community of angels, so people know they're not alone. And these are all, too, with the cards. These are all things we go through on day to day within our lives or families or friends, like, or things we've witnessed happen to other people.
Yeah.
Part of
Yeah.
being human. It's
And
beautiful. And then we have the angel of movement. Oh, I like
yes,
that.
I love this one as well. And I love the words. And it's very much so about, if you have put out, if you've had an intention for change, especially if you're struggling and you're wanting to move out of a situation. I've always felt this was very important and very telling, especially when you pull it. But it's very much so about, like the angels descending to be of service to you
Yeah,
and to create that energy to help movement occur in your life,
yeah,
in a positive sense. So
yeah,
again, I'm very supportive and I love the words of it as well. You
yeah.
know, s- yeah.
This is beautiful. I look at this. Oh, it's all pink. I love it. Pinks and purples. Angel of prayer. So tell me about this card.
I actually met her in the forest. I was out walking one day. Before I became so ill, and I don't get to really do it that much unless I'm with my husband now, but
Yeah.
I was out, I used to spend all my time just walking. We had the most beautiful forest beside our house when we lived in Wicklow. And I was out walking one day and I used to love just to go and think and to pray and just be quiet and listen. And I saw her walking through the trees
Oh, wow.
and she was just surrounded in this pink glow, white, looked really elderly lady, but was just white and very prayerful. So I thought, okay, if spirit wants to capture her, okay. And I went home and again, it manifested.
Yeah.
And it was very much so in keeping with where she was. And the prayer at the back, I love. I will kind of recite this to myself. Again, it's poetry from spirit,
Yeah.
and a little guide in terms of, what prayer actually is, or can be. So it's very much so, about, do you want to hold it up? I just read a
Sure.
little bit of it, but
Sure.
Prayer is to acknowledge the beauty that surrounds you. So go walk in God's holy gardens. Lift your head from the darkness of the ground and look to the heavens. Reach out and touch the wise trees and note their wisdom. Smell the heavenly scents from the gentle flowers. Watch the cloud that is forever changing as the unseen wind carries it across the sky. And tell God of the beauty you see, not of the sorrow.
Oh,
So, I know we pray a lot for, when we're really struggling, but sometimes it's like a gratitude prayer, isn't it? And
yes,
it's gratitude of observing the incredible beauty that's around us, you
yeah,
know. Yeah. So,
it's
and my
beautiful.
light has just gone out. But anyhow,
And here we go. We have the Angel of Hope. This is
yeah.
beautiful.
This is another very special piece I had created. There's a little story to it of a lady. I had just finished creating her, and it's a little girl, and I had finished creating her, and I was actually sitting under the stairs, and there was a knock on the door, and I was literally had her moving her into the gallery, and there was a knock on our front door, and it was this lovely couple, and they had just lost their little girl to meningitis, and she was only 2, I think. And I knew instantly there was a connection between them and the painting. So I asked them just to wait for a little while until we put the painting into the gallery and hung it. And then when we let them go in, and I just knew, I just knew there was a connection. Anyhow, and then they came out and they said that whilst sitting with this particular angel, which they called Leah, because that was her name.
Yeah.
But they were able to see her teddy in it because, when you look at the paintings, it's not that easy to see them in the cards, but in the original paintings, you see a lot more.
Oh,
But they could see her teddy. They recognized her face. They saw, I think, another family member in it as well. And so, oh my God, it was just such a humbling moment for myself and my husband.
yeah.
But that spirit was able to, and the timing was so perfect that they were able to, they said, experience where their little girl was in heaven. So I just thought that was so beautiful. And it was called Leia, but because it actually gave so much hope, we called it hope as well. Yeah.
I love that. And now we have Guardian Angel. Oh, this is stunning.
There's so many beautiful stories to this as well. But it's very much so about, even the words there, as the stars light up the night sky, I am forever with you. As the birds sing heaven's melodies, I am forever with you. As God's great sun rises high in the sky, I am forever with you. And as God's heart beats, you will be forever with me. So I really feel it's saying to us that no matter what, we are never ever alone, and yeah, our that we all have a guardian that looks after us with such love, care,
Yeah.
attention, and is always got our best interests at heart, trying to protect us, especially when we listen or
When we
don't listen.
listen. We get the big nudges when we don't listen, and then we listen. Yes.
Yeah,
This one's beautiful too. Angel of Wisdom.
yeah. And she's carrying a book. I know it's hard to see there, but it's very much so about, after that time when we've been quiet and we're maybe feeling a bit lost, we don't know what to do with our life.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like after taking the opportunity to be quiet,
Yeah.
after offering our intentions to the spirit world and to the universe,
Yeah.
you know, during the least expected of moments, that inspiration that we've asked for will actually be sent back to us from spirit. And even in the darkest of night, as it says,
Yeah.
that it will come to us. We will have that inspirational spark, where all of a sudden it's like the light goes on and you know exactly where it is you're going, what it is you're doing,
Yeah.
and a piece of wisdom. You have received your own wisdom, really. That's the way I look at it, by calling out for it. But spirit has just helped carry it to you.
That's so inspirational. I love it. And here we have Angel of Breakthrough. This is
Yeah.
powerful, the art and the
Yeah.
colors.
I love this one too. And it's very much so about, when things just don't seem to be, it's like being in a washing machine and we can't get out of what we're in.
Yeah.
And quite often when I've, you know, pulled that angel myself,
Yeah.
um, I'll sit with it and I'll kind of feel immediately, okay, Spirit's telling me things are going to change. I am going to have that breakthrough.
Yeah.
The only thing that doesn't change, is change itself, So, I mean, it will happen. Spirit will break through, and we will break through whatever. I mean, it's just a simple story of a lady giving a bookmark to her daughter who had angel breakthrough, and she was terrified of doing her exams. And she hadn't studied, she was really in a bad way. But she carried the angel breakthrough with her into her exams. And the mum sent me a lovely thing to say, she actually passed her exams. She just hadn't the belief that she would do it.
Yeah.
So even for her daughter to have that experience, I'm
Yeah.
sure has stayed with her and just opened her up that little bit to the possibilities of spirit.
Yeah. Oh, I love
So
that. That is beautiful. And then we have Angel of Healing.
yeah,
Oh, that is powerful.
yeah. She's quite fairy-like as well.
Yeah,
And
she is. I was looking at the wings.
yeah, like
Beautiful.
our own healing like is so important. But yeah, the poem just says, I'll just read it there. To heal is to allow the truth of one's being to re-emerge from the great shadows. So sound the sound of one's true self and stand in the fullness of one's own light. And I think it's very much so about, like I've even had to travel, do work on not how I became ill, but, everything to do with the trauma of my illness with Lyme's disease. And it's like, well, you know, for me, probably to even, they say that 95% of foresters have been bitten by a tick, but, it will be, say, 90% won't ever develop it.
Yeah.
But 5% may, because maybe their life is so stressful. They've done this big study on it.
Yeah.
And I suppose my own kind of realization, my own healing was that I would work 7 days a week
Yeah.
and it was work, 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 and, you know, just continuing, to make a living for my family, to feed them. I'd also been through extremely stressful times, like that we shared earlier on.
Yeah.
And so it's been a constant kind of grinding down of your immune system.
Yeah.
And You know, when we're pulled and pushed with life and we forget to sit in quiet, we forget ourselves. It
Yeah.
creates unbalance, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And, it's like me even having to take a little responsibility for, my own illness. It
Yeah.
was really lucky too that I got a tick in my head, but, at
Yeah.
some level, did I just allow myself get too carried away with life and the pressures and not take care of myself and just been still and quiet? So it's very much so about bringing ourselves or being conscious of that no matter what's going on in our lives, it's not worth the stress to just try and come back, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even for a moment and ask
So
spirit.
hard. Balance.
Yeah, yeah,
Balance is
yeah,
hard. I find I get burnout,
yes,
stop, and then it's like, okay, then I start living the balanced life, and then life starts getting busy, and then I'm unbalanced again, and then I'm burnout, and then I get sick, and then it's like
yeah,
your body forces you into rest.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. it forced me for 10 years, you know. Yeah, yeah.
Oh. And
So
here's
I'm hoping I move forward with a little more wisdom now.
me too. I don't know about that. That's like a hard lesson,
It
balance,
is,
life
it is.
work balance. Yes.
Especially like you, if, you know, and if we're compassionate as people and we want to serve spirit and we want to help people, it's like we tend to forget about ourselves. Yeah, most definitely.
That's like one of the biggest lessons in life is taking care of you first.
Yes,
Because if you're not healthy, you can't take care of everybody else. It's like that whole airplane analogy, put the mask on yourself first and then
yes,
on your everybody else that's around you. But we
yeah,
forget to do that.
yes.
Yeah. And then we
Angel
have,
keeping. Yeah. Again, it's as a painting, that spirit I've created, it's beautiful. And there's a beautiful story. I know I did share one with you earlier on about the young boy and recognizing that he had been held by this very angel. But there's another beautiful story. Now, it's quite sad, but there's beauty in it too.
yeah.
I had been asked to partake in a very large seminar that was in County Wicklow in Ireland a number of years ago, back probably in the mid 2000s. And I was asked to give a talk on my work. There was about 1,000 people, going to it. So it was a big ordeal and very nerve-wracking. But we were equally given the opportunity to just show a small, like mini version of the gallery in the foyer of this beautiful hotel. So, so we had it all set out with maybe about 10 angels, and people were coming in and just able to experience the work before they went into the seminar. And I had a lady come up to me and she just straight away said to me, I want you to tell me about my daughter. I need to know about my daughter. And I immediately kind of got a sense that her daughter obviously was in spirit and whatever else. But at the same time, I was been called to go into the seminar. And I turned and I just felt inspired. Okay, I didn't have words, and words weren't appropriate either at the time. And I turned and I just felt inspired to give her something. I really felt pushed to do it. And I gave her what was called the Angel of Sacredness. Now, she's not in the deck. Um, and I gave it to her. And for a brief moment, she just looked at it and she started to roar cry. And she said, That is my daughter. And her daughter happened to be one of the missing women in Ireland. Um, from back late 80s, 90s into early 2000s. Her daughter still has not been found. She was 8 months pregnant when she went missing and has never been found. And I knew instantly who she was, but just felt inspired to give her this because I'd recognized her from the TV.
Yeah.
But in the painting is this beautiful young girl. She's an angel, she's in spirit, but she's holding up her child wrapped in kind of, cloth. She's holding it up. But as you go into the painting, you see a little boy carrying a candle towards her, and you see other little children in it. And she starts to roar cry, and she said, This is my daughter. And she said, This is my other 7 children too that are in spirit.
Oh, wow.
And she started to roar cry.
Yeah.
And anyway, we were all ushered inside to the seminar, and I had had to go up and give my talk. And I'd also offered the gift of a painting to be auctioned as a gift to somebody in the audience, that would really need it. And like there's 1,000, mainly women in
Mhm.
the audience. And anyway, there's a call for everyone to get ready. The auction is going to take place. Not the auction, there's going to be everyone has a ticket, so they're going to spin
The draw.
the drum.
Yeah.
And I was told to stay up on the audience, but and my husband was sitting down the back. And from the very back, anyway, a ticket was pulled out, and everyone's looking at their tickets and, looking around the big room to see who's pulled the ticket. And like, this is how amazing Spirit is.
Yeah.
Um, all of a sudden, I see from the top of the stage this young man, in a denim jacket and jeans, putting a baseball cap on,
Yeah.
standing up in the crowd, and all mainly women kind of looking at him. And
Yeah.
like he had to walk the whole way up through the conference room. And I could hear people saying, what would he want with an angel? What would he need with an angel? And that's not right that he should be getting it. I could hear all these voices coming up from the front of the stage, and I was kind of horrified until I realized. And the gift was the angel of safekeeping.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was her brother, and that was her son. That was the girl who was missing's brother.
Oh, wow.
He approached me. It was her son.
Yeah.
And God love him. He stepped up onto the stage, and he was in floods of tears. But yeah, she has never been found, and he continues on searching for her. And the awful tragic story was, and that's why I really believe Spirit worked the way it worked, and to bring him that angel,
Yeah.
because before his sister went missing, his young brother was killed in a motorbike accident. His
Yeah.
sister then went missing. His father then committed suicide.
Yeah.
And then his mum subsequently after passed. So I firmly believe that was Spirit's way of, bringing to him the angel of safekeeping, and Spirit telling him you're not going to be on your own. You may be physically on your own in the world, but you won't be.
Yeah.
So that was, yeah, a very moving story.
Thank
But
you.
isn't it incredible how Spirit works, isn't it?
I think it's miraculous, to be quite honest. And then two spirit angels come in all shapes and sizes,
Yeah,
and believers come in all shapes and sizes. And then that's just our humanist just judging. And I think too, sometimes people judge because they want it for themselves. Like, well, what'd you get that? That should have been
yeah.
for me.
It
This
was
is unfortunate.
it was really interesting because it was kind of based on, angelic conference as such. There were a number of wonderful speakers there, and I was just up to share what we were doing in that, but it was like a little bit of a wake up call, and again that compassionate aspect of, how we are in life.
I do find within this work, within spiritual work, with the angelic world, and just courses I've taken over the years, I'm going to say it's like 95% women. So I
Yeah,
love it when men come into courses and they're so open to that
yeah,
because it's like, yeah, get over here.
yeah.
Don't be shy.
Yes.
And then we have, thank you so much for sharing that beautiful story. And then we have our last card, Angels of Holiness.
Yeah, this is another lovely piece now. The first movement I made in this painting, and you see the figure in the middle, it really does look like a pope with a staff and surrounded by angels. I mean, I was always really curious. It was literally the first couple of movements I made.
Yeah.
And again, I was quite taken aback because, um, it was, I suppose the essence of it was based on the image Catholicism. But
Mhm.
yet, as I went through myself, I understood what it was about for me personally. But
Yeah.
I had an interesting experience with this. I was in yeah, I'll just read the words a little bit because maybe the words will actually help you understand what happened to me as well. It's as you walk upon God's holy earth, be mindful of those who walk before you and those who walk after you. For it is only God who knows the true sorrow that is held in the heart of each man. But if you seek to see your fellow man with the Heavenly Father's eyes and the Heavenly Father's heart, then God will show you what is held deep in the heart of all mankind. And it is then that you will truly walk upon the angels, upon the earth with God's holy angels. Um, I have to be honest, the words of this were inspired by spirit. I had the painting, but I had no words. And it
Yeah.
was kind of the first time that I hadn't got words come at the same time. One day I was in the gallery getting it ready. I'd been down in the toilet cleaning it and making it clean. Like I was basically the tea lady and the toilet cleaner, and that was it. Um, and it was the angels were doing the rest of the work and my poor husband. But I was in the toilet cleaning
Yeah.
and I heard the door bang and I realized there were a couple of women had come in. And I heard them going around and I heard them stop at one of the paintings, but they started to talk about me. Now, I had never met the ladies, of course, and I started to get really embarrassed, so I stayed in the toilet. And I could hear them going, well, yeah, she has to have somebody that has a lot of money behind her to be doing this kind of stuff. And he has to be like a sugar daddy or something, with her big house and, doing her angel paintings. There's much better painters than her. And, and yeah, I know that. But I got really embarrassed and I stayed in the toilet for hours until they left. But I sat in there and I was really hurt because my husband and I, we've been through hell and back,
Yeah.
and all we ever want to do is, you know, something good, to help the community. And my poor husband, he certainly isn't a sugar daddy, and he certainly didn't have loads of money. I still remember looking behind the sofa for, pennies and twopences when we had nothing. But
Yeah.
we were just doing this because we feel called to do it.
Yeah.
But it was like somebody taking a big brush and having their own perception of somebody. And
Yeah.
I feel it was orchestrated by spirit. So I
Yeah.
actually kind of thanked these women in my own mind,
Yeah.
because I was able to understand the message that spirit wanted to bring with this painting.
Yeah.
About, I suppose even the first few lines are about, the perceptions that we feel we have of people may not necessarily be true, and to be mindful of that, and to, you know, treat people, with loving thoughts or think of them with care and, and we all do it. I know we all do it, but,
You were stuck in the washroom for many, many
I
hours,
was
and no
stuck in
one
the,
needed to use the washroom. No one noticed you were in there. You poor lady.
but I didn't want to embarrass them, so I stayed there.
Oh my goodness. And that's just, I don't know. I find it so interesting how spirit does these things. And we're like, I don't know why this is happening, but there's a lesson there. I always find there's a
Yeah,
message.
yeah.
Yeah. And now we have come to the end of the cards. So I just want to say thank you so much for sharing the behind the scenes stories, reading the messages behind the cards. And for those of you that are listening or watching, just head on over to her website to purchase your very own angel cards. And she does ship internationally because I'm in Canada and I receive my very own deck, and it's so beautiful. So, any last words before we go?
Oh, any last words? I think, yeah, just to, especially with where I've been with my health, just to, really, look at the beauty in life and the nature around us, move at the pace nature moves at,
Yeah,
and try and just, do the best we possibly can with the gift of this beautiful life that we have, because it is so precious, and yeah, just spread the love, I suppose, and the compassion and empathy. Yeah.
Thank you. And before we go, what are other offerings that you offer to people? So we have the
Oh,
cards. So if they go to your website, they can get the cards. What else can they find on your website?
well, at the moment, my beautiful daughter has put up that these is the paintings. So they can purchase fine art prints of the paintings in
Okay.
three different sizes and then even large canvas.
Yeah.
What else is there? Oh, I do my spirit portraits for people if
Yeah.
people are interested in that. And then on occasions, now, I suppose, on the website, I'm hoping to share up and coming, spirit portraiture demonstrations working alongside mediums, which is lovely. And then on occasions, I do, as often as I can, place spirit portraits, that in the hope that somebody may recognize them along with the evidence so that I can help and spirit reconnect the lovely person in spirit with their loved one. And of course, there's never any charge for that. I do that just because I love to do it. It's just a beautiful way for me to heal and to offer some hope to people. So, yeah.
I will say before we go, I have seen you do that and I've shared, and her artwork is just breathtaking. It looks so real. So I encourage you guys to go over to her social media platforms and follow her and go check out her website because she's just a apart from being incredibly gifted spirit medium, she's just an incredible, amazing person filled with so much love and compassion for this world, changing this world one piece of artwork at a time. Yeah, it's so beautiful. Okay, so thank you, everybody, and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye bye.